Chapter 3 of the Maimer Bati Lagan. Ubezeh Yuvan, and with this will be understood. Masha Mishkan Hayam Mi'atze Shitim. Why the Mishkan was from Atze Shitim wood. Davka. Deliyot, because the Ikar Avoda, the main service, the Mishkan or Mikdash, in the tabernacle, in the temple, the service of God is what? Lishapra Chashuchal in order to transform darkness to light, to transform egotism to Judaism, to transform selfishness to awareness of the Creator. Turn on the lights. Zehu inyan avodat harkarbanas, and this is what we said before in the last chapter, the whole idea of serving God with these sacrifices, or in our language, coming close to God, thinking about God, getting excited about God, loving the Creator. Ubefrat, and especially what's called the Maisa Katoret, and especially the incense. In the temple there were two altars. Also in the tabernacle, two altars. There was the outer altar and the inner altar. And the outer altar, they would burn up the sacrifices after they slaughtered them, of course. They would burn up the pieces of the sacrifices that they made. But then there was what's called an inner altar. The inner altar was a place called the Kodesh. I want to call it the inner sanctum, and then there's the inner sanctum. There's the Kodesh Kadoshim. In the Kodesh Kadoshim, that was a little division. The innermost room, inner sanctum, and there was only the tablets and the ark. And in the room outside of that, which we can call the inner sanctum, the Kodesh, there was a candelabra, the menorah, and there was a table with 12, special table with 6-layer table that had 12 loaves of bread. And then, right in the middle, and the first thing that you met was a little altar made of gold. And this coated with gold. And on this would be offered up the incense. And the incense was made of 11 ingredients, and that most of them were plant. Some were minerals, also plant. And this was to show, in a way, a higher level of connection with God. The word katoret means kesher, katira in Hebrew, in Aramaic, means to be attached, one with God. And the korbanot is to karov, to become close to God, but not necessarily attachment. The katoret means to be tied. It was a much higher thing, and it says this was, Moshe used it as a antidote to death.
Well, there was an episode where Aaron ran out with it.
That's what I mean. He gave it to Rebbe. Hainu sheyesh ozektor. All both of these are called avodah, and both of these are also in our soul. A person can come close to God and he can become attached to God. Al yedei avoda shebemikdash, and by means of the service in the holy temple, which again we are the holy temple now. Hine al yedei zeh, by means of this heir, there shined gilui elokut bolam, there shined the revelation of God in the world. And what happens when God is revealed in the world? Like we said, people are much less egotistical. There's less anger, there's less hatred, there's less depression, there's less sadness, there's more happiness. You're happy to see other people, you're happy to be alive. You realize you're partners with the Creator, you realize you have a responsibility every moment to make every moment a little more meaningful. Reveal godliness in the world. But in order to do this, the sacrifices are not enough. Deep thinking is not enough. Doing the commandments is not enough. Learning the Torah is not enough. Prayer is not enough. Love is not enough. There is one main ingredient. Because we're talking about here not going out and conquering an enemy that's out there. The enemy is yourself. And your idea is not to conquer it, but to transform it. This is a crazy thing to do. This is a crazy thing to do. It's like the Jews fighting against the Arabs, and our job is to catch every single Arab and to convince him that it's no way to go and kill people and to fight for Allah and for others. You have to be the 7 Noahide commandments, and you have to go according to the 7. This guy's coming at you with a gun, with a bomb, he wants to blow himself up, and you're going to convince him, right? The Americans convincing the Nazis to be American patriots. Where's there going to be such a thing like that? That's insane, right? The Japanese come to Pearl Harbor and they hold up big signs and it says, America the Beautiful, and all these pilots say, oh yes, he's right, and they land their planes and they say, we want to become citizens, we'll wait, in line. Who's going to do? That's what we have to do. We have to take our animal soul that a lot of times becomes our enemy, wants to destroy a person, wants to take him far as possible from God. And we have to convince him to be a patriot, to be love of God, and to do the commandments with interest and excitement. How are we going to do that? It's a crazy thing. So that's where you have to be crazy. That's the missing ingredient. Therefore, the holy temple, the tabernacle was me'atze shitim. It was made from shittim wood. The walls were made from shittim wood. In fact, most of the vessels, this inner altar that I talked about, and that they were made from shittim wood, but they were coated with gold, or they were coated with. Hine sata. The word sata, shita. Sata means nitiya, means an inclination, a deviation. Hainu sheyesh davashu emtsai. There is something which is normal in the middle. V'hataya le'ezetzad, and an inclination to one side or the other, lamayla or lamata, above or below, is called sata, a stiya. It's called a deviation. V'chein perish shtut. The word shin, the letter shin can be pronounced sometimes sin if the point, there's a little point on the top. If it's on the left side, it's sin, and on the right side it's called shin. So shtus, but it's the same word. Shtus, hu hataya. This is an inclination, a deviation, miyadiya v'chachma, from what is understood and what is normal. Diyadiya v'hasaga iderech mitzua. That what is normal, what is understandable, what is logical, this is what's called the normal path. Mitzua, this is the middle way. V'hataya mizeh, but any sort of deviation from this is called shtut, is called craziness. Hine yesh shtut l'umat zeh, there's what's called shtut of the bad side. Okay, now in this world, it's very difficult to figure out what exactly is normal. What is really normal in this world? Right? Now in America especially, they're trying to change the definition of what is normal. Right? There's male bathrooms, and there's non-gender bathroom. Right? Is it normal that a man acts like a man? Maybe. Right? What is normal? Is it normal for a person to go and blow himself up and to kill other people? Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes the Palestinians they're justified.
It's cultural relative.
Culture, yeah. The Palestinians are justified. They blow themselves up because they're uptight. We're doing it to them.
For them, it's okay.
Well, for them, it's okay.
You have to see it
right?
from that point.
What really is normal and what is not normal? What is really normal and not normal? So first of all, we have to decide that there is such a thing as normal, and then we can say a deviation from that is called, right, a deviant. Right? We could go into this all day. What exactly is called, deviant? Is it not? So the Rebbe is supposing here that what's called normal is a normal Jew does what Judaism requires. For instance, in Morocco, in Yemen, There were big Jewish communities. There used to be. There was no such thing in Morocco or in Yemen as a religious Jew. There was no such thing. There was a Jew. Every Jew did what it said in the Torah. Every Jew kept Torah. Every Jew kept Shabbos. Every Jew kept kosher. Every Jew was modest, right? They dressed modestly, right? No Jew that cheated on his wife. A person cheated on his wife. It was not normal. That was a deviant. There was something wrong with him, right? That he didn't put on tefillin. Everybody puts on tefillin. There were people who were maybe more. They got into it more. There were big tzaddikim. There were holy people. There were this, and then there were people who were more simple, but still everybody, right? That was what's called normal. That's what's called normal. Then there came in Morocco, there came the French, and this, there came this, the English came, and then all of a sudden there started to be a new norm. A new norm. All of a sudden they say, well, to be normal, look at we're outnumbered 1,000,000 to 1. Look at the French, how they act. That's normal. Look at the English, that's normal. So normal becomes, okay, so let's define what normal is according to this mimer of the Rebbe. A normal Jew is like we say, like there was in Yemen and in Morocco. A normal Jew does Torah and mitzvahs. He does what God says. He does what his parents did, because his parents knew better than him. And they did what their parents did, because they simply knew what the truth was. It's true. God really does exist, and God really does want us to put on tefillin, and he wants us to eat kosher food, and he wants us to keep Shabbat. God, not that he wanted it a long time ago, Mount Sinai. God really wants it. Now that's a normal Jew. What's a not normal Jew? A Jew that doesn't do these things. That's not normal, doesn't it? What is, we're going to learn, what's the correction? You have to do above and beyond the normal. You have to go above and beyond normal. It's going to be called shtut de kedusha. We'll see. Now we're learning about bad shtut. Let's learn bad craziness. Like it says, kitiste ishto. It says when his wife goes astray. Upirish Rashi tat midarke tzniut, that she deviated from the ways of modesty. There's a law, and there's a whole Talmud on it, a whole tractate on it. A very strange law in Judaism called sota. Sota is a woman that her husband suspects that she's having a relationship with another man. He suspects, and he has no proof. If he has clear proof, then they get divorced. Then they get divorced. It depends what type of proof, but they get divorced. But he suspects that she has, and then he has to warn her, and then she has to be seen going with this man that he warned her about into a certain place, and nobody sees what they did, and then it comes out from this place, and he says, "I heard that I told you not to go with the candlestick maker. I don't want you to be alone with him anymore." She said, "No, we were just talking. I didn't go." He said, "I have witnesses that you were there. You went." He said, "They saw something. They didn't see anything. You just went alone with him." Oh, he takes her down to the holy temple, and he makes her drink the special water. It doesn't make any difference. And if she is not guilty, then she becomes fruitful and multiplies and everything. And if she is guilty, then she has a very bitter end. There's a bitter end. Sota. So why does he suspect her in the first place? This is talking about how he suspects this. Because he sees she's not acting normal. She's dressing a little bit sort of immodestly. So he suspects something is going wrong. Tat mitar ketznius. She's deviated from normal. Like it says, Vayeshev Yisrael b'shitim. It says the Jewish people, they went to a place which is called Shittim. In Shittim it says over there that the Jewish people did a big sin.
The Shittim wood is the same wood.
Same deviation, yes. And we're going to see that the tabernacle was made from this deviation wood. Because we're going to see there's an antidote to
the ark is Shittim wood.
Ark was, that's right, yes, you're right. Yes, you're right. Shehu inyan ashtut delumatzeh. This is what's called craziness of the bad side. Kamayim Razal, like the rabbis say, Ein Adam over Avera, a person cannot do a sin, Ela im Kain, unless Nichnas bo Ruach Shtut, there enters into him a spirit of craziness. Ruach Hazeh Mechas Al Emet, it covers over the truth. Ruach shtut, this thing, a person wants to, people kill themselves. People actually they kill themselves, they kill their parents.
Yeah.
People go crazy. Ruach shtut, this feeling of insanity. Hu ruach klipa, it is klipa and sitra achra. It's such an intense feeling of egotism that it drives the person crazy. Drives the person crazy. It's like they say the scorpions, that sometimes they sting themselves to death. They put a scorpion near a fire or something, it stings itself to death. It goes crazy. Doesn't know what to do. People take drugs, they take this, they do the worst things for themselves, right? Worst things spiritually, physically, the worst possible things, because they go berserk, they go crazy. A lot of people nowadays, they're just ignorance. Just ignorance. American society, whatever, they teach people what is normal, all sorts of insane things, right? Wingsuiting, right? They jump off of planes with a. You ever see this? They jump off of planes. They have a suit, and they jump off of a plane. Who knows, 3 miles high, and they coast, and they're fun. They have a good time. With 5% crash, they die.
Parachute?
No parachute. But there's just this like this. People are bored. They're bored. They don't want to do anything. Just
That's the stupidest thing I've heard.
Ein Adam, a person will not. V'nikra shtus. It's called a shtus, like it says melech zaken v'kasil. It's called a foolish, crazy, a foolish old king. The Yetzer Hora. Why is it called a foolish old king? It's very clever. It makes people do all these things because it convinces only foolish people. Ve'em mechasim ala orva giloi. And it covers over light and revelation. The Ruach Shtus convinces a person all there is you. Go for it. Do it. Don't think too much. The Elokut, that God, who emet v'chayim, God is truth and it's life. Kamosha Katuv, like it says, Havaya Elokim, emet u Elokim chayim. God is the truth. God is life. And we're not talking about God as mathematical truth or right? We're talking about anything which is truth is partaking of what God is. V'ruach shtut mechasal emet, and the ruach shtut covers over the truth, v'chayut eloki, and the life of godliness. Therefore, it's called klipa. It's called klipa. It's called like a shell. So let's just finish this by this. The Rebbe is going to say that it is the nature of a Jew that he does not want to, and he cannot go against what Hashem wants. Impossible. A Jew cannot, just like a normal person cannot cut off his own finger. A person doesn't cut off his own finger. It's insane. Who would cut off your own finger? Right? Who would do a thing like that? No one would do it. The same thing, a normal Jew cannot cut off his connection to God. He can't do it. Why does he do it? Because he goes crazy. He goes temporarily crazy. And this is learning a merit on any Jew that doesn't do what God wants. You say the person's a sinner and burn in hell. He's crazy. He's temporarily insane. But if you can prove that a person is temporarily insane, there's no death penalty. There's no this. So the Rebbe says every Jew essentially, in his essence, wants to do what God wants. And any Jew that doesn't want it, it's because of insanity. Of course, now, like I said before, now it's also because of a lack of education. There's a lot of people that just don't know that they're Jews, and they don't know what Judaism is. And anything they hear about Judaism is bad, right, from the press. Right? Look at these religious guys. You want to be like that? Right? Who would want to be like that?
They're still here.
That's the Walking Dead. Those guys, to be religious is to be a zombie. That's the worst thing in the world. That's what everybody's taught.
They're taught religion is the opiate of the
masses. Right. The masses. Right? Okay, that was... what was the point? What was the point of that saying? That it keeps people quiet so they don't make a revolution. They don't revolt. We have to revolt against the capitalists, the proletariat. What do they call it? The proletariat of the people. What's the proletariat? Proletariat are the people that have money.
No, the bourgeois.
Yeah, the bourgeois is the proletariat. We have to revolt against the proletariat.
The people.
Oh, the proletariat of the people, yeah. We have to revolt against the ruling class, equal money, and therefore religion is the worst thing in the world. That's what they say. There's in the time of the Russian Revolution. So this old Jewish lady, she says to her son, who was left, the Yiddish guy left everything. He's a big revolutionary, And she says to her son, "Tell me, what is this revolution? I'm not really sure, but what is this revolution thing? What's going to be? What's the point?" So what's the point? Says there's going to be food, there'll be jobs, there'll be equality. The people will be happy. She said, "Oh, like it was before the revolution." Okay, there is a point, a small point to it, that a person, if he's too complacent, then it's like you say, the Alfred E. Newman syndrome, what me worry, just let God take care of everything. That's also not right. We have an obligation from God to use all of our potential. A person should feel guilty if he doesn't use his potential. Therefore, but it used to be, not so long ago, 40, 50 years, even when I was in university, that the universities, maybe it's still the same way, they were just a hotbed of what do they call it? Not degradation. Degeneracy is a better word for it. Anyway, debauchery. I got a better word.
Pastimes.
Right. The universities were just, decadence. Oh.
Yeah.
It was just a hotbed of decadence. And the more decadent that you were, the more university guy. I mean, I used to play music. I used to be a singer. I played band. This is one of the things that made me, considered to be Boltons. No, I used to play these house parties sometimes. And I saw the professors and how they would act. The professors.
Yeah.
Oh, that guy's, he's the professor of sociology. Oh, this professor of this, How they would act, how the loneness of these people. And it was like, for them, the coolest thing. That was the coolest, despite the fact that I am an animal, in the daytime I am a professor. So I started to thinking, if that's really the point of life, then why be a professor at all? Why? I mean, they're enjoying that much more than they're enjoying being a professor. So why not just go for? Then everything just became totally meaningless. There's no, meaningless. I'm the measure of all things.
Then you start wondering, the things they're teaching as a professor, how valid are those things? Maybe these people don't know what they're talking about.
The fact is, the pleasures that they were having in the nighttime were more valid than the things that we're teaching in the daytime. And that's the fact. All the philosophies and everything like that. Viktor Frankl said that if you ask him, the Holocaust and World War II was not born in the beer halls in Munich, but in the universities in Berlin. The theories that came out of superiority of the German race and that we can do what we want to and that we're superior to God and we're God and we're Superman. Think with your arms. No, they're finished. The classes are finished. Think with your arms. Think with your legs. Okay, we will continue tomorrow.